Have you ever felt like Allah keeps sending you the same sign through someone? You try to move on, but your heart refuses. You try to move on, but that person keeps coming back again and again. And you wonder, is it me who's holding on? Or is it Allah showing me that I shouldn't give up? In this video, we'll dive into this mystery together and understand why some souls are brought back into your life, even when you thought you'd lost them forever.
There are moments in your life when you thought it was all over. You thought this person was no longer meant for you. You tried to distance yourself, to extinguish this connection, to close your heart. But every time you do, something invisible comes knocking at your inner door again. You think it's your nostalgia. You think it's your weakness. But deep down, what if it were Allah reminding you that this connection isn't just a figment of your imagination? You see, some relationships aren't simply human. They aren't built on words, nor destroyed by arguments. They are woven deeper, in a place you yourself can't reach. It's as if, even before your existence, this thread had already been drawn. And this thread doesn't break even if you try to cut it. Remember those nights when you prayed with tears in your eyes? Not to ask for riches, not to ask for fame, but to ask for peace in your heart. And what kept coming back to your mind, again and again? The face, the name, the presence of that person. You thought it was a distraction. But what if it was a silent answer? A subtle direction given by the one who knows your soul better than you know yourself. Many people have told you to forget. Many have told you that this connection was a waste of time, an illusion. You've even tried to believe them. But in your privacy, away from prying eyes, you can't erase this person. Because there are attachments that Allah places as a permanent reminder. Not to obsess you, but to teach you, to harden you, to elevate you. Think, why does your heart always return to the same place? Why, despite the trials, despite the separations, do you still feel that inner voice telling you, don't give up, come back? It's because some trials aren't there to close a chapter, but to purify your intention. Allah didn't give you this person so that you would lose them in anger or pride. He gave them to you so that you would understand that love is not a simple emotion. It is a path of patience, trust, and submission. This person may be your mirror. Not a mirror that flatters your ego, but a mirror that shows you your wounds, your shortcomings, your weaknesses. Perhaps this is why it's so difficult. Because through them, you see what you need to change within yourself. And if you abandon this mirror, how will you learn to heal what Allah wanted you to see? Perhaps you're thinking, but why me? Why won't my heart leave me alone? The truth is, you were chosen to feel this way. Not everyone experiences this kind of connection. Many experience superficial attachments that are easy to break. What you're experiencing is different. It's a trial that directly affects your soul, not just your mind. And if Allah chose you for this, it's because He wants you to understand a reality that others will never achieve. Some connections are divine scriptures, and you were not created to deny them. Close your eyes for a moment and think back to all the times you've tried to force your destiny elsewhere. You may have met other people. You may have believed you could fill the void in other ways. But deep down, you know, none of them could take its place. Because you cannot replace what Allah has chosen. We cannot compare a human construction with a divine scripture. And if today you are listening to these words, it is no coincidence. There is a reason why your soul encountered this video. Allah knows your heart. He knows your prayers, even those you have never said out loud. And if what you still feel, despite everything, is not to let go of this person, it may be because He's telling you that your role is not to flee, but to persevere. And remember, Allah never calls you to anything without wisdom. Every return of this person in your life, every memory that resurfaces, every sign that you reject but that returns despite yourself, all of this has a meaning. Perhaps this meaning is not yet clear to you. Perhaps it remains veiled. But Allah never veils without a reason, because what He prepares exceeds what you believe you deserve. So ask yourself, why does this bond endure through time, trials, and distance? Why this person and not someone else? Why, despite all your inner struggles, do you continue to feel that your relationship with them isn't over? Imagine a moonless night. The sky is thick, covered with heavy clouds, and you walk alone, searching for a sign, a direction, some clarity. All around you, there is only silence and darkness. You walk, but each step resonates like an echo of your own inner emptiness. You think you're lost. You think nothing will change. Then, in the distance, a glimmer of light, dimension, fragile. It flickers like a candle about to go out. You hesitate. Is it a mirage? Is it an illusion created by your tired mind? Yet your heart clings to this light, and you keep walking. This light is this person. You didn't choose her by chance. She appeared in your life like a sock in the darkness of your soul. At first, you didn't pay attention to it. You thought it was nothing, just a passing moment, one encounter among others. But the further you went, the more you realized that this light refused to disappear. You tried to forget it. You even decided to turn your back on this brightness. You thought, this isn't for me, it's not meant to be, I must move on elsewhere. So you plunged into other paths, into other faces, into other pursuits. But every time the darkness became too heavy, every time your soul cried out silently, the same light returned, brighter, more insistent. And you asked yourself, why? Why, among billions of souls, is it always this one that returns to my horizon? The answer is both simple and terrifying. Some souls are destined to find each other again and again, until they understand why they were bound together. It's not by chance. It's not simple nostalgia. It's a scripture your heart recognizes, even when your mind denies it. Think of all the times you tried to run away, the silence, the arguments, the distance, the misunderstandings. You thought it was over. You thought you'd cut the thread. But that thread wasn't in your hands. It was tied somewhere else, higher up, in a place where neither your pride, nor your fear, nor your impatience can untie it. Then the light returns. It returns in your thoughts, in your dreams, in the subtle signs of your daily life. Sometimes through a memory, sometimes through a coincidence that isn't one, sometimes simply through that void that no one else can fill. It's as if Allah was saying to you, don't look away. What you seek is already there. But you must learn to see. For this person is not just a presence. She is a lesson. She is the mirror of your weaknesses and the key to your patience. She is the test that reveals your pride and the antidote that heals your heart. You think you love her for herself, but in reality, Allah gave you this light so that you would understand that true love is not a possession, nor an addiction, nor a fleeting passion. True love is a school of purification. And that is why you cannot extinguish this flame, because it does not burn with your desire, but with the will of Allah. Every time it flickers, it is not to be extinguished. It is to teach you that even in fragility, a light remains a light. Even when it disappears for a moment behind the clouds, it continues to exist. Think of the time you thought it was definitely over. You bowed your head, you thought, this story is dead. And then, against all expectations, a sign appeared. An unlikely encounter. A message that came out of nowhere, a sudden thought that shook your heart. And you understood that this connection doesn't end with your decisions, because you didn't write it. So ask yourself, why does Allah allow this light to remain in your field of vision? Why doesn't He let you forget it completely, like so many other faces you've encountered in your life? Because this person isn't someone. They're the one. He chose to shape your story. And perhaps this story isn't yet clear. Perhaps you're still in the shadows, with only glimmers of light, but that's precisely the beauty of the test. Learning to walk in the darkness with the confidence that Allah has already placed a light for you. The truth is, you can't escape what's written. You can fight, you can resist, you can flee. But every turn will always lead you back to the same place. Because a light chosen by Allah never goes out. It hides, it waits, it returns. So, when it returns once more, brighter, stronger, will you be ready to see it? Why do you think that despite everything, you can't let go? Is it pride, obsession, or is it something bigger than yourself that you still refuse to acknowledge? Why, despite your efforts to move on, despite the advice you followed, despite the forget him or forget her that you've been told 1,000 times, why does this person keep coming back to you? Is your heart weak? Or is Allah showing you that your heart has recognized the truth that your mind dares not accept? Why, through all these trials, does Allah continue to open doors that you yourself thought you had closed? Have you ever thought about that? You say, it's over, it's dead, I'm moving on. And suddenly, something unexpected happens. A message, an encounter, a memory that returns with an intensity you can't control. Is it really a coincidence? Or is it Allah's way of reminding you that some stories don't fade away by your will alone? What if what you call weakness wasn't weakness, but a sign? A sign that this person wasn't placed in your life to be forgotten, but to be found again. A sign that this bond wasn't written to disappear, but to be protected. A sign that your soul silently acknowledges what your tongue refuses to admit. Think about it. Why does your heart beat differently when you think of her? Why this particular pain, unlike the other pains in your life? Why this emptiness that won't fill no matter how hard you try? Is it because you're a prisoner of your past? Or because you're witnessing a future that Allah invites you to embrace? And why do you think that, of all the people you've ever known, it's precisely this one who continues to mark you, to haunt you, to call to you? You don't have that intensity with others. You don't have that constant return even when you want to close the door. So why her? Why him? Do you really believe your heart becomes attached by chance? What if this attachment was actually a responsibility? What if Allah put you through the ordeal of separation so that you would understand the value of reunion? What if, instead of punishing you, He was preparing you? Why do you think it's so hard? If this bond had no importance, if it were just a mere illusion, why would your soul still cling to it so strongly? You don't cry for an illusion. You don't pray at night for an illusion. You're not breaking inside because of an illusion. So what is it, if not a sign? What if the truth is that you weren't chosen to experience an ordinary attachment? Perhaps Allah wants you to discover what a sacred bond truly means. Not a bond of passion, not a bond of desire, but a bond that transcends human logic, because it's written elsewhere, in a book you've never read, but that your soul already knows. So I ask you again, why do you think you can't let go? Is it because you refuse to move forward? Or because Allah is asking you to be patient? Is it because you're lost? Or because He wants you to understand that He hasn't shown you what comes next yet? And why does this person keep coming back into your life, despite the barriers, despite the trials, despite your rejections? Is this a reminder, a test, a preparation? Have you ever considered that this repetition isn't a loop, but a lesson you haven't yet learned? You see, what you call pain, what you call confusion, what you call weakness. Perhaps, in reality, these are clues. Perhaps you're experiencing a scripture you don't yet understand, but which will eventually become clear. So, one last time, why do you believe that Allah doesn't erase this person from your heart, even when you ask Him to? What if it weren't you who had to erase, but you who had to learn to hold on? Maybe you felt broken, not just a brokenness visible to others, but that kind of inner fracture that no one really understands. You smile, you talk, you live as if nothing happened, but inside, you're tired, you're exhausted. You've tried to tell your heart, it's over, let it go. But your heart refuses. You've tried to close your eyes, but the memories come back like a wave you can't stop. And sometimes, in the stillness of the night, when everyone is asleep and you're alone with your thoughts, you still hear that echo. An echo that has nothing to do with your imagination. Don't let go. Don't walk away. This connection was chosen for you. And you ask yourself, why me? Why do I have to carry this weight? Why does it hurt so much when all I want is peace? The truth is that Allah doesn't place certain people in your path so that you learn only pain. He places them before you to show you something else. Patience, trust, and above all, love that doesn't depend on human whims, but is purified by Him. Yes, you suffered. Yes, you thought you were going to collapse. But even in your pain, didn't you feel a new strength born within you? Didn't you discover prayers you had never said before? Didn't you feel that your heart, though broken, was drawing closer to the one who created it? Perhaps you believe this story is nothing but loss and hurt. But what you don't know is that every tear you shed was seen. Every sigh you breathed was heard. Allah did not abandon you in this ordeal. On the contrary, He chose you to go through it, because He knows that it is through this that your heart will learn truths you would never have understood otherwise. And look carefully. Through this person, through this bond that refuses to die, what is Allah teaching you? He's teaching you that true love is not just an emotion that burns quickly and fades quickly. It is a slow process. It is a school where we learn to be patient, to forgive, to remain strong even when all seems lost. You see, you are not broken by chance. You are shaped. Every pain is a chisel that sculpts your heart so that it becomes capable of loving as Allah wants you to love, with purity, with sincerity, with endurance. Yes, you thought about giving up. You thought it would be easier to forget. But if it were really that simple, why can't you do it? Why does this person remain in your heart, even when you want to chase them away? Because there is wisdom behind this bond. A wisdom you may not yet see, but which is already taking shape in the invisible. Perhaps you believe your attachment is a weakness. But what if it were a strength you haven't yet understood? Because holding on to someone you can't let go of, despite the storms, despite the separations, despite the trials, is not weakness. It is proof that your soul has recognized something your eyes cannot yet see. And if you look closely, you will see that even your pain has a hidden beauty. Because it has brought you back to Allah. It has forced you to fall to your knees and say, "Oh Allah, I don't understand, but you know." And believe me, there is no purer moment than when you cry out your incomprehension to your Creator, entrusting Him with your broken heart. So yes, you're tired. Yes, you're tempted to give up. But remember, Allah doesn't choose certain bonds to extinguish them. He chooses them to purify them. What you're experiencing isn't a punishment. It's a preparation. You think you're being destroyed, but in reality, you're being rebuilt, piece by piece, to be able to carry this bond with the dignity Allah intends for you. And perhaps you're not aware of it yet, but your heart, even in its pain, is moving closer to the version of yourself you're destined to become. So, the question isn't, why is it so difficult? The real question is, am I ready to walk through this fire to see the light Allah is preparing behind it? It's like a seed buried deep in the earth. You look at it, you almost forget about it, because on the surface there's nothing. It's invisible. You think it's dead. You think there's no more hope. But beneath the earth, in the darkness, something is working silently. Fragile roots spread, invisible forces take hold. The seed splits open from within in a pain no one sees. And one day, without warning, a small shoot appears. Fragile, tiny, but alive. That person in your life, that bond you can't extinguish, is that shoot. Perhaps you thought it was over, that everything was broken, that everything had disappeared. But Allah invites you to look beyond what your eyes see. He invites you to understand that some things seem dead when in fact they are simply being prepared. Think of the seasons. In winter, the earth seems empty, dry and frozen. The trees appear dead, their bare branches reaching toward the sky like weary hands. You might think that life has left them, but wait for spring, and you will see the buds, you will see the flowers. Life had not disappeared. It had hidden. It was simply biding its time. What if this connection you carry in your heart worked the same way? What if this person you thought was lost wasn't absent, but simply dormant, like a tree in winter? What if what you see as an end was only a season, and Allah had already planned the spring of your story? You see, Allah does not make all seeds grow at the same pace. Some germinate in a few days. Others take months, years. And some wait a long time underground, as if waiting for the perfect moment. And your role is not to dig the earth every day, asking, why isn't it growing? Your role is to believe, to protect, to water with your patience, with your prayers, with your hope. Because what is chosen by Allah never truly dies. Even when you think it's over, even when you think the soil has covered everything, life is still there. You don't see it, but it works, silently, invisibly. Think of the rain. You don't control it. You don't choose when it falls. But you know that one day or another, it will come to nourish the earth. In the same way, Allah sends His signs like rain that falls at the exact moment, not a second too early, not a second too late. And when the rain falls, the seed no longer needs to struggle alone. It opens, it rises, it becomes visible. Perhaps this person in your life is like that seed, in preparation. Perhaps this bond hasn't yet revealed its full beauty, because the moment hasn't yet arrived. But just because you can't see anything doesn't mean nothing is happening. Beneath the surface, there is an invisible work that continues. Watch a seed as it blooms. It must break from the inside out to give birth to new life. Isn't that what you feel too? Have you not felt your heart break, crack, suffer? But perhaps that fracture wasn't destruction. Perhaps it was the beginning. Perhaps your pain is exactly what prepares the birth of a purified, chosen, blessed love. And now imagine that little sapling growing. If you trample it, it dies. If you neglect it, It withers. But if you protect it, if you give it time, water, light, it becomes a strong, immense tree, rooted deep in the earth and reaching toward the sky. This bond is exactly the same. You cannot crush it because it is fragile. You must accompany it with gentleness, with faith, with patience. And if you look deeper, you will understand. The tree is not just there to be beautiful. It provides shade, it bears fruit, it nourishes others. Perhaps Allah has chosen this person for you not only for your happiness, but for a greater mission. Perhaps this bond will become a refuge. Perhaps it will bear fruit you cannot yet imagine. So when your heart tells you to give up, remember the seed. Just because you see nothing doesn't mean nothing exists. Just because the earth is silent doesn't mean life isn't blossoming. And just because your heart is tired doesn't mean the story is over. Because Allah has His seasons, and the sapling you think is fragile today could become the strongest tree of your life tomorrow. If deep down you feel that this message resonates, it's no coincidence. Perhaps Allah is trying to speak to you, to soothe you, to show you that some people are a divine choice, not a coincidence. So don't stop here. Keep searching, listening, understanding. And if you want more reminders like this, subscribe, activate the bell, and share this video. Because someone, somewhere, needs to hear this message as much as you do today.